a story of things that the Lord has done, testimony of His work, so that if you're seeing these things in your life, then you can be encouraged that it's happening in other people's lives and it's real. That's the purpose of these videos, not to draw attention to myself or to make you believe that anything that's happened should be the way that it is. But it's just to support that if you have this feeling that God is real and you're not quite sure how He works, then maybe you hear or see something in this that lends credibility to your life. But I'll tell you a story. The story Jesus told parables. They're stories, and in that there's a big message, much more so than an intellectual conversation or sermon. But the story is about drying up the land in Trinidad. So I don't have enough pictures of what actually happened, but we got there in the rainy season. It was July of 2012, and the Lord had told us to go to the jungles of Tamina, not exactly where, but the rainy season there is not something I was prepared for. I'd always been there when it was not the rainy season, but this time, and those roads, it's amazing that they have a road at all through the jungle, but the roads have enormous potholes. It looks like a fine road, and then there's a giant pothole that you don't want to get in. The maintenance is not, I don't think, consistent, but when there's water over the potholes, you can destroy your car or go down in it, and that's where you are, in the jungle. So the water would come across the road. Some places the road was buried in the water, and you had to go very slowly to see if the car was going to go through the road or a pothole or whatever and try to go on this side or that side. Going from one side to the other was the way it was even when the road was dry. But and then we got to the land, the place where they look like places in the jungle where we could show movies and tell stories about Jesus. That's what we were told to do. That's another video. But the land was all so swampy. It wasn't just wet. It rained every single day and a considerable amount of rain. So you couldn't even walk on the ground, not even with grass on it. The mud would come up through the grass and just surround your shoes and everything else. So there was unless there was a covered area or something, there was no place to even stand or ask for any assembly of people. And we were definitely not told by the Lord. There's a lot of details that we were not supposed to meet in a building. There was a church there that was available, and we could have used that building, but that's not what we were supposed to do. So He didn't make it easy. But He told me to, anyway, as far as He telling me, maybe I need to tell that as another story, but about how that works, and it's usually a consistent way. But He did tell me that to pray a prayer, and so I pray the prayer that He tells me, not that I pray that I think, please honor my prayer. If He's telling me the prayer is already done, I know that it's just a matter of me being part of it somehow. But the prayer was He said, I don't want you to pray to stop the rain. I want you to pray to dry up all the land on the island of Trinidad. So it was kind of an emotionally overwhelming thing, but I was by myself when He told me to pray that. And I prayed, and I knew it was real, and I knew that it was going to happen. So I get up, the next morning, or I'm already up, and they're getting up, and I tell them God's going to dry up the land, all the land that we're on, the land we need to use, but He's going to dry up the whole island. That's what He told me He was going to do, and He told me to pray it. So about time I'm telling Him that, it starts raining, which makes me look foolish, stupid. That's okay. I pray for humility. I pray to be humiliated, because in being humiliated comes humility. That you really can't lose when you're asking to be humiliated. That either God is going to do the thing you said, or it's going to make you look foolish, and you're humiliated. But in the humiliation comes humility, which is the barrier to all of God's work is pride, the opposite of humility. So that's why that's so important, because if I have pride, God can't use me. If I'm doing everything, I'm of no use to God, and I'm very limited in what I can do. There's no point in even saying I'm going to do anything. But so So it rained, starts raining, but God didn't say it was going to stop raining. He said he was going to dry up all the land on the whole island. Well, the sun began to come out, and the sun near the equator is a different kind of animal, and the ground soaked up the moisture, and in a day or so, I mean, it was like, the kids are out there playing soccer, and there's the pictures. And we held events. We had larger numbers. And then the amazing thing was when we got at the end of the week, when we didn't need the dry ground anymore, God had work to do. It began to rain just as normal. And we got on the airplane, and it rained all the way to the airport. And on the airplane, I was noticing how heavily and steadily it was raining. I said, God is back. The prayer had its purpose, and God is back to the normal routine. But he does part the waters. He does dry up the land. Whatever purpose he needs to accomplish his goals is not for me, but it's for him. And that's the story. There's so many other stories. There's another story like that prepared me for that kind of prayer, and I'll tell that in another one about stopping the rain. But that was on a camping trip, so that's another video. Anyway, God bless you. I'll see you next time.
I'm telling
Thank
you, it's okay.
Bye.
You can go play with it.
I don't want me to play with it. Mamsi. I want to katapit them. Eh?